My morning alarm goes off, and I flail about uselessly for a while until I remember that I've decided to give morning runs another shot. Well, I mean, that means he definitely put in more effort than I ever had to an exercise program. Kudos. I don't know if this was my greatest idea, but I'm determined to keep going. This is about my health, after all, and I do have the never-ending pursuit of not being dead on me, so hey, that's a pretty noble goal. Sure, things haven't been great lately for me, but that hasn't made existence so intolerable that I'm not going to try everything I can to stay healthy. It's worth a shot. Besides, it's all about asserting some kind of control over this thing, right? If I can manage that, well, I can manage anything. At least that's what I keep telling myself. Whether or not it's actually true, let's let history tell the tale about that one. Hey, I like that. I don't know why, but that sound is aesthetically pleasing to me. It's nice. Once again, it would appear that I'm not alone in my run. Emmy has apparently been here for some time. Looks like she already worked up a good sweat. Just when the hell did she come down here anyway? Who knows? Oh, it's you. I'm surprised to see you again. Ha ha! A vote of confidence like no other. Well played. Why's that? Well, not many people actually manage to come back for a second try. Yeah. She frowns, seemingly annoyed by a passing thought. Like the rest of the track team, for instance. Still, it was only supposed to be on a volunteer basis, so it's not that big of a deal, or big of a shock. And I guess it's pretty early in the morning. A shrug, and suddenly it appears that she'd forgotten what she was talking about. The frown disappears entirely, and she seems to snap back to her previous train of thought. So, come on then. What? You're here to run again, right? Well, yeah. So come on! It's time to do a running! I find myself suddenly grabbed and yanked onto the track. Things seem to be set on mirroring yesterday's run. I just realized I don't think I've ever had to say that word before. That is, I seem to be struggling while Emmy moves with an effortlessness that I find enviable. It's incredibly bothersome to be so easily worn out. Well, that's technically why you're doing this. I know I should be patient, work towards things gradually, but it's difficult to stay positive about this. We're around the track and start our second lap. Emmy seems to have grown impatient keeping pace with me and begins to pull away. This is understandable, and I would not disparage her for it. This is where I gave out yesterday. Will I be able to do more? Take it easy or go for it? I say we go for it! What am I doing here? Am I really just going to fold and let Emmy pull ahead? I mean, I think that she does this rather, a lot, so I feel like there's no shame in being lapped by her. Also, not exactly what I was going for. I speed up. Oh, wait, this might have been a terrible idea. The second lap's done quickly, and without even considering it, I keep going. Emmy looks back over her shoulder at me and grins. Still going? Wouldn't want you to think I'm out of shape. Oh, God. We might be doing a little bit too much all at once. Emmy laughs without breaking her stride, no less, and speeds up even more. I don't know if this is the way we're going to play things. I increase my own pace as well. I suddenly have deep regrets about my actions. I can feel my lungs burning as my legs are starting to question just what the hell I think I'm doing. Lactic acid screams on my muscles, but I close my ears. I can't let myself fall behind, because that would be a loss. Suddenly we're competitive! Why would we feel a need to be competitive with a track star? The rational voice in my head inquires mildly just when we started playing a game. I'd answer it, but I'm having a lot of trouble thinking at present. She's so fast! How the hell does she keep it? Oh, okay, that was a bad idea. It's like a string pulling at my chest. A choking feeling of narrowness and pain. I think I made a bad choice! Before I can think of anything else, then, oh crap, the track disappears from under my feet. I stumble, one hand shooting down to clutch at my chest, the other hitting the track to keep me from falling on my face. Emmy whirls around and her eyes widen. Sao! She yells at me, sprinting from the other side of the track. What's wrong? Nothing. Just heart palpitations. Keep your breathing steady. Calm down. Don't panic. Panic is definitely never going to help anything. Don't panic. Do you need me to get the nurse? I close my eyes, shutting out the outside world. Okay. My heart struggles to regain its rhythm. Slowly, the pain in my chest begins to subside. Soon it's gone like nothing happened. It was nothing? No, something happened there. Hello. I open my eyes again and glance at a very worried Emmy. I think I'm fine. My voice sounds weird even to myself. Oddly even and matter of fact, it makes Emmy frown. I don't think you are. She seems to come to a decision and nods to herself. Right, you're coming with me. You've got to see the nurse. Emmy grabs my arm and drags me up. I feel a bit wobbly, but I refuse the shoulder Emmy offers for support. How tall is she exactly? Would that even work? Honestly, I'm a little ashamed by my own weakness. Again, she's kind of a freaking track star. I'd really rather not have Emmy concerned about me, but it seems to be too late. Heck, I'd rather not have anyone concerned about my condition. Well, at this point, it seems to be too late for that as well. I'd like to be able to deal with the whole thing on my own, without being a bother to anyone else. That's just my life story. I don't want to be a bother. While I'm wishing for things, I'd rather not have this condition in the first place. Nurse! Emmy crashes into his office without knocking, but it doesn't alarm the nurse in the least. Good morning, Sunshine. What's up? Sunshine? Anyway, he calmly sips from his coffee mug, but lays it down after following Emmy's gaze to me looming in the doorway. Sal, what brings you here? We were running, and he stumbled over and started grabbing at his chest, and I thought I'd come and get you and make him wait. Oh, easy there, Emmy. Calm down. I could not read all of that, and I am angered by this. Sal, what happened? I don't know. We were running, and then my chest started hurting like that time before, but it went away after a few seconds. It was just a flutter or something. The nurse frowns as if to say that just a flutter is some kind of oxymoron. I didn't mean quite this when I suggested to get some exercise. Gotta be more careful, Sal. I was being careful, maybe I wanted to impress the girl. Maybe that was a cataclysmically stupid idea and I've made everyone's day a little worse as a result. Which is kind of how that sort of thing goes. But here we are. Come to think of it. Well, actually, come to think of it, now that I think of it, I think that was actually a kind of a somewhat important decision I just made. If I said take it easy, I don't think this scene would be happening. I just got into a race with a member of the track team. Doesn't seem as well reasoned as I thought it would be. Yeah, kind of that. You just what? That is... I was racing Emmy. Emmy, is this true? Emmy fidgets, looking adorably contrite. Ah, well. Finally, she can't seem to bring herself to say it aloud and merely nods. The nurse sighs and rubs his forehead with one hand tiredly. Emmy, you gotta be more sensitive to the limits of others. I don't know if he told you, but Isao has a bad heart. Getting him to race you was incredibly irresponsible. I'm more than most likely positive she doesn't know that. Actually, I started it. The nurse is stunned by my statement. You what? We were just running, and Emmy started to pull away, so I sped up to catch her. The nurse stares at the ceiling, muttering a prayer for patience to some god or another, and looks back down at the both of us. So you're both stupid. Okay, look, you don't... This was my bad, okay? You don't gotta be calling her the dumb, okay? That's a comfort, I guess. Now, come on, Isao, I've gotta make sure your heart's not going to explode or something. I dutifully obey and follow to the adjacent room where we ascertain that I am, in fact, not going to keel over and die. So how does it feel? I don't know, nothing much. Tired, but it might just be from the exercise. You should stay here for a few hours and rest, and we'll see how you feel after that. I'm not going to object, so I lie down on the infirmary bed. Beats actual schoolwork! Hell yeah! That's not a good thing. A thoroughly miserable Emmy comes in after getting an earful from the nurse in the other room. I couldn't hear what he said, though, through the closed door, but I'm sure it wasn't pleasantries. Look, I'm really, really sorry. I should have been more careful. I mean, again, you really didn't actually do anything. You were just running. You were just doing what you were doing. I was the moron that decided to book it. You didn't know. It's not your fault. She looks awfully down and sorry, and my reassurances don't do much anything to cheer her up. I want to make it up to you. Again, with that decisive nod. So you have to come to lunch with me. I'll bring it for you, okay? Something really, really good. I start with a you don't have to, but then shut up and just nod at her when I see her face. Yeah, I don't really peg her as the type of gal who's gonna, let that go. Good! We meet on the roof. We? Yep, the weather's nice now, so the roof's a great spot for lunch, I see. You'll come, right? You wouldn't deny me the chance to make it up to you? Of course not. Great, see you there. I feel like you don't have to make anything up to anybody, but I eat. I stay afloat somewhere between asleep and awake, feeling completely drained, otherwise known as my default state of being. Not only my body, but all of me is limp and paralyzed apart from my senses. I swallow with difficulty and then try to lie as still as I can, which is in this state, it's not a very hard thing to do. The nurse is shuffling around on the other side of the curtains he drew to give me privacy. I can see his shadow shifting about in the sunlight. He's opened the window of his office. It's windy outside. The clean white curtains flutter in the breeze in a heavy, lazy motion like waves. Light sifts through them slowly, half absorbing into the fabric. I take myself a bit of a nap. I close my eyes. The breeze on my face feels like the soft fabric of the curtains. Or maybe it is the curtains pushing it onto your face. That seems like a more likely scenario. I listen to the sound of my heartbeat for a moment, trying to shut out the sound of the nurse tapping away on his computer and my own heavy breathing. It's steady. Damn it, not even a week and I end up like this again. Really screwed up this time. I should have known better than to play the half-baked sports star in front of a real one. Why did I try to act brave? Like that heart flutter was no big deal, even when it was obvious that it was. It was just a reflex to push it away, to keep it inside. I didn't want it to happen. What would have happened had I not pushed the boundaries here? I wonder. I didn't want Emmy to see it. I didn't want her to think I was lame. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I have to be more careful. I'll end up in the hospital again, or worse. That's my final thought before I give in to the tiredness. Here's hoping we wake up before lunch. I fell asleep. For how long? What time is it? I'm feeling a little lightheaded and I keep blinking compulsively, much like how one does when they fall asleep with their contacts in, such as I. Pushing the curtain aside, I squint my eyes against the unfiltered light pouring in from the window. The texture of the canvas feels nothing like the wind did before. The nurse looks up from his work, sitting exactly where he was before. How you feeling? I can't really tell, so I don't answer anything. I'm feeling kind of groggy from falling asleep at such a weird time. Hopefully I don't look too weird. Yeah, what is all that business about, hey, take a nap, you'll feel better? I've never woken up from a nap feeling better. I always wake up from a nap feeling like roadkill. What time is it? Me croaking the question to gain some orientation, the nurse looking at his wristwatch before answering. Things seem to happen in slow motion. 10:15. I try to think for a moment what that means, but I'm not really sure. You didn't answer my question, Isao. Oh, fine. Climb down from that bed then, and let's see how you're doing. Don't. Whoa! I try to do exactly that, only to sway dizzily when I move too fast. The nurse moves to support me by an arm and sighs. Stand up too quickly is what I was going to say. Just sit there, I'll check your pressure to make sure. I've been there. I've stood up fast way too many times. My good intentions sure lasted for a long time. I shut up, embarrassed with myself. Well, the nurse gets busy with an old-fashioned contraption in my arm. After a couple of minutes, he puts it away, looking neither pleased nor unhappy. So, I mean, you know, you take what you can get. You're all right. Head stop spinning? Yeah. Good. And how are the contents doing? You didn't show very good judgment out there, Hisao. You know, well, sometimes you make dumb decisions for well-intentioned reasons. Not saying that it was, but shut up. I'm trying, man. Dang. I swallowed the retort I was going to make. That's what I was thinking myself, but hearing it stated by someone else makes me want to protest. What he's saying is not pleasant to hear. Doesn't make him any less right. No, sir. He nods, still looking as neutral as he was before. It's kind of his thing. It'd be easy to be angry at him if he said, told you so, or something, but he doesn't. It's almost like he's actually somebody who gives a damn about his job and doing it properly, which is actually nice to know. I can try and help you to keep your health, but ultimately the last call lies with you. Hopefully this little episode will be something that'll remind you of that. Here, a note for your teacher to avoid an interrogation. I take the slip of paper he's offering and then make my leave as I can't think of anything else to say, nor even really want to. Stay out of trouble, you hear me? I don't think it was anything but a scare, but next time could be different. I hear you. There's some way to get to the school building straight from the auxiliary building, but I'm not keen to find out and possibly get lost. So I go out from the exit that I know works. I stop at the stairs of the auxiliary building, deliberating for a moment between going to the dorms to get my books and stuff and going straight away to the class. The sun stings my eyes, so I head towards the dorms. Natural light! Ah! The halls are quiet as the courtyard was, naturally so, since everyone is in class. I knock lightly at the door of 3-3 and push open the door where Muto calls for the other side. Sorry, I'm late. I almost died. 15 pairs of eyes turned to me. Ignoring the thought that just went through my head because it wasn't funny. Good morning, Nikai. Muto seems to be somewhat confounded by my coming in late, as if I interrupted his flow or something, threw off his groove. Judging from the rambling lectures his classes tend to be, that might be the case. I pass him the note the nurse gave me. Muto takes it with a nod and reads it quickly. He lifts his eyebrows and gives me a kind of stern look, but doesn't say anything. Just nods solemnly again. I shrug and he gestures at me to run along, so I naturally do. Huzzah! The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school, feeling the rhythm of the motion of the boogie to beat. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first days, I was pretty high-strung in class. Everyone feels like they're gonna actually put in the effort at first, but then a few days pass and you give up. Maybe that was just my experience. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. Hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Yeah, could you maybe give me the lowdown on that? Games and fried food! Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Misha is hilarious. Yes, thank you, Mikado. Or Mikado. Oh! The remainder of a sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Normally, I join the flow and grab a lunch myself, but today is different. Yeah, okay, so I feel like I definitely made... I didn't realize it at the time when I made my choice, but I think I made a really big one. Because if I didn't have that episode, I wouldn't have gone to the nurse's office, Emmy wouldn't have felt the need to make up for things, and I probably would be going to the cafeteria right now. That's actually kind of neat. I like stories that legitimately branch in any capacity and don't just tell you that your decisions matter, and never do. Bigger companies have gone bankrupt for lying like that. Normally I'd join the flow and grab a lunch myself, but today is different. Today I've been invited to lunch on the roof. An odd location, but that's where I was told to go. Really? Anime in schools would tell me the roof is just a very natural place to go. Fortunately, I managed to find shelter from the storm in the lee of the classroom door. I weathered it out, and ultimately I survived. Eventually the torrent subsides and I step tentatively out into the hallway, only to be met by Emmy, who comes flouncing down the hallway like a cannonball. And I'm only going to say for a moment that I thought that said cannoli. She came flouncing down the hallway like a cannoli. I don't know why that sentence makes me laugh. Hey, hi, Sal. Great timing. I have super extra lunch today, as promised. Let's go upstairs. The stairways to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual who was that removed that lock. And now we're on a roof. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Egads! Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Yeah, hello. Well, obviously... Okay. You scared me, Rin. Also, I guess that means they are friends. All right, I wasn't wrong for assuming. Haha. I still feel kind of bad about it. Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? In a manner of speaking, yeah. I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts only a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited us out for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. She's forward thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else here but us. That's technically what the sentence was. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools or anime. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. Generally, roofs aren't known for being hospitable. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. How'd they get pebbles all the way up here? I peek through the chain link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle at the cafeteria. Quadrangle? That's a word I don't get to say nearly enough. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby, as that's kind of what they are known to do. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, the small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolis eyes seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Does that mean that you're a senior? I just realized we never really established that. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly. I hadn't had time to think how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces one big and two small lunchboxes from her bag. Come on, Asal, what are you waiting for? She is beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. Hello, I appear to be in your personal space. I apologize for this. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. I feel like Emmy doesn't take up too much space. She looks like she's tiny. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go. Lunch is promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks. I make them myself when I can. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glanced up and noticed Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a fork full of food into her mouth using only her feet. It's hard to argue with the fact that that's pretty dope, nasty, awesome styles. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. Only ever get used to sights such as this? I'm just saying, the lack of arms is significantly more noticeable than the lack of legs. Mostly because of the way that the profile shots work. I don't really see the lower part of Emmy enough to... I actually kind of briefly forgot. I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean that I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or maybe you're just learning that normal is a relative term and not actually a thing? Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? Let's all hope it's that one. I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. She hungry. She hungry. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite, which is great because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? All right. Oh, that's actually pretty solid. Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? Like what? I think that answers my question. They've got an established repertoire. Oh, that's fun. Rapport, I mean, or something. I'm not good with words, but it's cute. I like it. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Okay, I mean, that's not inherently wrong. Compliment each other. You know why! Like shoes and a suit. Emmy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs, get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I mean, unless you're an incredibly patient and forgiving individual, I guess. And the other person is a jerk at the same time. I don't think that's what's going on here. My mental situation doesn't apply here, and it all sounds kind of nonsensical now that I say it out loud. Regardless, here we go. I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Understandable. Now that I think about it. Yeah, I think I this is a weird thing to think about, but I think I could actually put pants on without using my arms. But a shirt, that definitely seems like it'd be way harder. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious makes me feel slightly better, and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, almost forgot about that, sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes! A staple. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. How does Rin catch it? Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. Alright, maybe she caught it with her feet. I wouldn't put it past her. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Yeah, Rin especially so. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I wonder if he'll ever learn. I mean, I can think of a few ways someone can lose their legs, and obviously there are many different ways someone can end up deaf or blind or anything of that sort, but how do you lose both your arms? I'm actually curious about that. I've never really known of a situation where that's happened, losing, you know, part of one arm or an entire arm or something to that effect, but she seems to be missing the same amount of arm on both. Is that something that can happen? I mean, like, I suppose it's not completely implausible that an accident could have taken place to have done that, but I feel like that has to be something maybe medically. Maybe while in birth, in the fetal stages? I'm not sure. I don't really know if it's okay for me to be thinking about this sort of thing. I'm legitimately curious. Everyone else I don't really think that too much about, but that's a very interesting problem to have. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. That makes me feel, that's why. It makes me feel like she's dealt with this maybe her entire life. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins, a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. She do be mad happy. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended, trying to take advantage of my good nature. The nerve. She giggles. Now, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I'll just keep eating lunch all alone. I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding, I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location. And the company's okay, too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess that makes us friends now. Was I friends with Shizun and Misha? I'm not sure. I'm only questioning this because the game made a point that apparently I'm at least friends with Emmy. I don't know how Rin works with this, or at least acquaintances. There you go, okay. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away. Rin shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together. 'Twas an acceptable risk. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. It's been like 2 days! Jeez! Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. Yeah. As I drop the books I'd borrow into the return slots on the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Yeah, sorry, Yuko, didn't mean to startle you. No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now. Well, clearly not, or you wouldn't have jumped so high. Can I help you? That's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. No real sense in spooking her something fierce again. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into the bag as I walk out. I have a tote bag! By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remains, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. Feeling utterly drained, I head to my room and read the books I borrowed. There's been enough action and excitement for one day already. The first is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I know the story, of course, but I've never actually read the original book. I was gonna say, I feel like everybody knows of it. It's just as trippy as I remember the story to be, with the wacky characters and nonsense plot. I start thinking of myself as some kind of an Alice, too, haplessly tumbling down the rabbit hole into this cripple wonderland. That's something to say, okay. Okay, that's a rather strong expression. A little bit? You kind of made me cringe to read that, my dude. Okay, well, still, the isolated location and the overt way the school accommodates to absolutely everything is unsettling. It's like another world. I wonder why I can't shake the feeling of being an outsider like Alice, despite most everyone being so hospitable and friendly with me. Turning another page, my mind starts to drift further away from the book. It's quiet. I can hear my heartbeat thumping against the fabric of my shirt. For some reason, it makes me feel really bad, like it has since the time in the forest with Awanako. Like I was locked in a cage with something nasty and scary. Didn't mean to hit that button. I put the book down for a while and stare at the ceiling, taking my time to shake off the feeling. 200 pages later, I fall asleep. I didn't realize that the original Alice book was so incredibly long. Then again, I mean, full disclosure, I just don't read books. They're boring! The students roll into class for this Saturday morning session. Right! Japan has Saturday classes. I always forget that. They only have Sundays off. Man. I mean, I guess they make up for it with all their week-long holidays they get, but still! Each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to repair, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. Middle lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Late night Friday nights, yeah, okay. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and questions numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in the class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. It can be partly attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizun aren't present. Probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. It's almost like she was the only one that ever... anyone in this class other than me that actually talked. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she's making up for Shizun's lack of a voice. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? Ah, peas and butts, what'd I do? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Muto approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. That's ominous. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he's trying to say. Not knowing what's going on, I wait silently. I heard from the school's head nurse that she had an incident the other day. Oh, we're still on that. Oh, so it's about that. Well, kind of, but it's not anything to be worried about. Yes, it is. Anything that can endanger your health is something to be worried about. We try our best here to prepare you for life here. Part of that involves knowing your limits and how to work around them. It'd be remiss of me if I didn't speak up about this. All right, I get it. I'm sorry. Muto closes his eyes in frustrations, and I realize that this probably wasn't the best thing to say. Something tells me that you're not sorry. Pretend as much as you want, but this isn't a normal school. A lot of people have put a lot of time, effort, and money to make sure that you and every other student here can have the same level of education as your peers. For you to abuse that by throwing out advice, especially medical advice, is plain selfish. I'm not quite sure if this is actually how he feels, or if this is some act that he's practiced many times to guilt-trap students into doing the right thing. Either way, it's working. I understand. This is all new to me, and I apologize. I know my limits now, and I'll be sticking to them. Muto appears to lighten up a little, satisfied that his message has been received. So then, on to my next question. How you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. Wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little self-support prison. You gotta keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think in hindsight that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief at the suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of the students have ever said that to me before. For an instant, I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother. Their heads slump down on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto doesn't even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. The class returns to the near silence that Muto and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room, like so many a bug. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall ticks the remaining class time away until finally the bell cries out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish their questions so I don't have to bother with it, although over the rest of the weekend with the festival and all tomorrow. Hello! Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird that Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either. So an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lid splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. So, life is just suffering, I guess. The sound of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. She ain't all about that life. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. It be she! Hanako? And thus her support friend is here. Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. That's nice. They talk quietly for a moment, but isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separate. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her, though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, this isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. After about 10 minutes of relentlessly shuffling in her seat and trying to read, Hanako closes her book and leaves too. As should I, since the assignment is all but finished and there's nothing else to do in the classroom. Not that I have anything to do anywhere else either. We need to establish more firm friendships so we have somewhere to go. The school is a beehive of activity, but nobody pays me any heed. I saunter past classrooms filled with students frantically doing this and that, buzzing around like little worker bees, or flies, or cicadas, basically anything that makes a weird noise as they move about. You wouldn't guess the school day is over. It's a bit quieter outside, but not by much. People zip by left and right, hurrying as quickly as they can, busy and energetic. I feel the opposite. The midday sun seems to be draining all the spirit out of my body, making it feel limp all over. Warm, soft air flows inside my shirt, feeling like a cushion. I yawn lazily, thinking about what I'd do. I'll drop off my books at the dorms first, and then something I haven't decided yet. Maybe Kenji is in his room. That's a terrible way of spending our time. On the way to the dorms, I spot Emmy coming my way, running despite not having those weird running prosthetics on. I wave at her and she skids to a stop. Yo, hey Sal! Spatters of white and green paint adorn her nose and chin respectively, but her smile is wide as it seems it always is. Ah! She leans closer to me, amplifying the feeling she is examining me. What you doing? Nothing really. I don't have anything to do for the festival and everyone else seems to be doing something important. That's perfect! Then you can help me and Rin. With the festival preparations? I'm not sure if I'd be of much help. That's fine. I'm not much help either. Da-dum, boom. Nice. Emmy grabs my wrist and starts dragging me back inside the school quite forcefully. Even her walking speed is more like jogging, making me stumble over myself simply trying to keep up. The stairs slow Emmy down a little bit. Maybe it's hard to climb with her legs, or maybe she's finally run out of breath. Who knows? We go all the way back to the 3rd floor into the seniors' hallway, ending up where I left 5 minutes ago. I could just as well have stayed here waiting for Emmy had I known. That's true. Although there is something I wanted to mention. I always thought it was actually kind of neat that, when it comes to prosthetic legs, there's actually different types. So it makes sense that Emmy would have, like, you know, casual legs for just going about and actual, like, running legs. It's really neat. So, is Rin working on that mural still? That's right. She needs all kinds of paints and brushes and stuff, so I went to get them from the art classroom. And you need me to help with that. Well, Rin told me you had already helped her, so I thought you wouldn't mind. I see. Is this happening because I established a bond prior? Or is this something that would have happened otherwise? I'd have to choose the other option and see, I guess. It's dawned on me I don't know how exactly I'm going to approach the fact that this game has different endings. Well, time for later, I suppose. So, thanks to Emmy's flaky logic, here I am again, collecting stuff from the art classroom for other people. The room is empty apart from ourselves and the lonely specks of dust floating in the air. Emmy skips straight away to the back wall, digging out a tiny crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. While she tries to make sense of the scrawled handwriting, I take a closer look at the materials lying around here. Dozens of paint cans and bottles are arranged on the shelves in a most unorganized fashion. Some look like they have been left there for several decades, relics of previous art club generations. Next to the heavy stacks of neatly piled drawing papers are boxes full of differently sized brushes on unsorted crayons. The smell of paint, turpentine, and fresh paper float in the stale air, mixing in my nostrils to form the unmistakable scent of art! Art to me smells like a LCD screen, but, you know. Emmy studies her notes, comparing them to the markings on the various paint cans, and passes them to me as she finds the correct matches. She stretches her neck to look at the topmost shelf, but it's not quite enough. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Emmy gives up and just looks up at the shelf longingly, like a child at a toy store huffing in annoyance. Oh, that's adorable. After a moment of building anger, she starts jumping up and down, apparently trying to speed read the labels during the fraction of a second she can see them and catch what she can. It's no surprise that she fails miserably and almost manages to bring the entire shelf crashing down. Now I see why me lending a hand here would be useful. Come on, let me do that. You can't jump high enough, and I don't want you to hurt yourself trying. Also, I'm like twice your height. You are not! She turns around, flaring scorn, flushed cheeks and all. Just kidding, just kidding. Although I might have to look it up to see if she actually is. That'd be hilarious. Anyway, I'll look up there, okay? She glares at me one more time, but can't come up with a retort. With a grudging, she turns her back to me. So I begin scrounging around the top shelf for paint, while below, Emmy crouches to scavenge what she can from the cupboards. I shake my head a little after double-checking to ensure she can't see me do so. Emmy having a complex about her height was a surprise. I wouldn't have joked about it otherwise. Honestly, yeah, I didn't think she would have. She seems easygoing, but I guess everyone has their weak spots. Only after we have almost all the items collected and spread out a desk like a treasure hunter's spoils do I realize that it wasn't necessarily the height jab that got her riled up. She might not like being told that she can't do something, like jump. But Emmy herself seems to have forgotten all about it already. Quick to anger, quick to forgive. Is she that type of person? At least she doesn't seem to have taken anything to heart as she chatters away happily while we pick up the rest of the items and then make our way back to Rin. I chivalrously carry the bulk of the materials as we make our way towards the dormitories. Rin is really stressed about getting her painting done. It's her own fault, though. She should have started earlier. Is she gonna make it? No idea. Looks good to me, but with Rin, you never know what's going on. I found her this morning lying in front of the dorm in fetal position. She hadn't slept all night. I can't believe that the night nurses hadn't found her. And now she's painting again like crazy. Yeah, I've noticed that she comes off as kinda unhinged, so to speak. Emmy giggles at that, as well as my likely too obvious awkwardness. I don't mind it. She's just a little weird sometimes. On that, I can agree with her. Unlike me, Emmy seems to be cool with Rin's whatever it is that feels so off about her. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizun do. With them working as a single entity sometimes, it's hard to say where one ends and the other begins. Even though they're so different, just like Emmy and Rin are. And Rin is the most different of them all. Different from anyone else I've met. Yeah, I guess she's a very unique person. I I return to that word again, as if encompassing Rin's personality by itself, but really, it's just a substitute for a lengthy description of her oddities. Emmy giggles as I grasp about for a properly descriptive word. She's just weird. You know, earlier she just spent half an hour sitting on her box and stared at her toes. She giggles again in a way that makes me think she doesn't know what's funny about it. It just is. All that time. The working area is a mess, but the mural itself has taken over even more of the wall since I last saw it. The disfigured human figures have been mostly colored in tones of red, pink, and orange. Weird, imaginary things populate the spaces between. Looks nice. I can't think of any word that would describe the work concisely and comprehensively, so I settled myself on a nondescript noise. But honestly, it seems that the area around the wall becomes untidier at the same rate as the mural progresses. The ground is littered with dozens of paint cans, various art supplies, and empty soda bottles. Rin herself is in the center of the chaos, standing there looking very cozy as she was a natural part of the scene. Her pant legs have been rolled up to her knees, exposing her thin legs, which sport a drying spectrum of war paintings, similar to those on Emmy's face. Emmy sprints to Rin ahead of me and gleefully jumps in front of her. I'm back! That was fast. Did you run in the corridors again? Has thou helped me? Emmy points victoriously at me. Rin turns around, following Emmy's finger with her eyes, looking at my general direction. She nods absent-mindedly at me. She looks like she hasn't slept since last night. A vacant, glazed stare that's focused slightly off me and movements like in a slow-motion movie. Hello, Asao. Thank you for the help. I'll mention it. I just did. Boom! Never mind. Looks like you've made progress. Looking good as far as I can tell. But now you get more bad luck. I know, but I'm willing to take the risk. That's a very nice thing to say. For me, of course. Not for you. This is why artists are always unlucky. They have to constantly look at their unfinished paintings. So artists can't find romance. Their favorite TV shows are canceled, or they die young because of an unspecified disease. It's a deep and mysterious law of the universe. Unless they are blind. She considers this for a while, looking like she's going to fall asleep. Are we sure that she hasn't? No, she's good. There is a boy. At the art club, you see. Blind boy, so he doesn't see. You already told me. I glance sideways at Emmy, and she glances back in a way that tells me she's heard this one before, too. Neither of us say anything to Rin, though, so she continues her monotone soliloquy like an unfunny stand-up comedian. You should become an artist. No bad luck guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize but can't remember the name of. It was more than most likely the Old Spice jingle. Emmy arranges the supplies we brought and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Emmy, I need the Persian blue paint. Which one's Persian blue? She's staring helplessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with Persian blue paint in it. Oh, that's helpful. Jeez, Rin, you're not helping at all. I look around as well, even though I don't know what Persian blue looks like either. I wonder what blue has to do with Persia. Or what Perusia even is. I'm beginning to realize I don't know if I'm saying it right. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I can't place it. While none of the blues look more Perusian than the others, the small print on the labels is legible enough to determine that none say anything about the contents being Perusian. There is no Perusian blue here. We need to get more then. I opened my mouth to say that actually we're not both needed for such a simple task, like finding another pot of Perusian blue, but Emmy's already grabbed my arm and started dragging me off. I waved to Rin, who doesn't seem to have noticed the two of us are even leaving. Well, she'll notice when she goes for her Perusian blue and finds out it's still not there. Maybe. Probably not, actually. While I'm busy thinking of how weird Rin is, Emmy's been dragging me back to the art classroom. I feel myself starting to run out of breath. What's the rush? Huh? Emmy's giving me an appraising look as if she's trying to figure something out. It's just that you seem to be in a hurry. I'm not sure I can keep up. Comprehension dawns on her face. You're not out of breath, are you? There's almost an accusing playfulness to her tone. I'm tempted to deny it, but then I realize that I've been breathing heavy since we stopped. Guess it's kind of obvious. A little. Not everyone can be in shape, you know. Takes all kinds, right? Emmy frowns. It's not a particularly good frown. That is, I should get in shape. Not that I hadn't already decided to try for that. After that flutter on the track, I figure there's a real need to get in some sort of running habit. I was, after all, feeling pretty good until I had my false alarm. Well, actually, I wasn't, but it was fun? Meanwhile, my comment seems to have helped Emmy come to some sort of a decision. Well, that's it then. She gives me a serious look. You're joining me. Eh? I beg your pardon? In the mornings. You and I are now running partners. I've got a routine all planned out. In fact, she produces a crumpled sheet of paper. I've got it right here with me. I take the sheet of paper and give it a once-over. Times, dates, and laps all laid out. A slow increase from just a few laps a day to... My God, does she expect to have me running marathons? Where did she find the time to get this all together? Also, she did this just for my sake? Damn, girl! And how long has she been planning this anyway? You've been planning this? A little. But it's really the nurse's idea. He told me to keep an eye on you to make sure you exercise like he told you to. A vast conspiracy? Maybe Kenji's onto something here. Gonna go ahead and on a wild accusation and say no. That seems a bit much for keeping an eye on me. Well, to be honest, I've been trying to find your running partner in the mornings for a while now. My God, Kenji, if you could see the scheme unfolding. He probably wouldn't even be able to interpret it. I think Kenji's stupid. Just a little. What do you need a partner for anyway? It's easier to keep up a workout if you're not the only one doing it. Isn't that obvious? You're less likely to quit if someone else is counting on you to be there, right? I see. And this won't only keep you running, but it'll make sure I keep running as well. Meaning that I'll be obeying the nurse. And I'll be keeping an eye on you just like he asked. You caught on quick, Asao. And if I refuse? I have no intention of refusing, of course. But I've got to at least put up a token resistance to such a masterfully executed plan. Well, if you refuse, I'd have to pout. And you'd have to live with being the guy who made Emmy Ibarazaki pout. You don't want to put that on your conscience, do you? As if to demonstrate, Emmy begins pouting. It is the most adorable, heart-wrenching thing I've ever seen. Okay, I'll do it. Just don't do that. I feel like I just hit a puppy. So it's settled then, right? You're going to be my running partner? Follow the workout? And the dietary plan? Dietary plan? Yeah, the dietary plan. You gotta eat healthy if you're gonna get in shape, you know. I examined the workout routine closely. I don't see a dietary plan on here. Oh, right, I forgot to give that to you. Another crumpled sheet of paper is produced and handed over. She came up with both? It's somewhat less detailed. And the nurse helped me come up with it. The amount of dedication that the nurse has to keeping me in good health is pretty overwhelming. I feel like a good chunk of this might actually just straight up be Emmy, though. I don't know how many school nurses who would get on one of their students to spy on me, much less help come up with a dietary plan. Then again, I guess I'm not in a normal school. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Then again, this dietary plan seems to cut out just about everything that'll be offered at the festival tomorrow. So when does our running start? After the festival. Right after? What if I've had something to eat there? I should get a stomachache, you know. How about the day after the festival? I knew that. Wasn't there something we were supposed to be doing? Oh, I guess we need to get that paint for Rin, huh? Ah, no, it slipped my mind. By the time we get the paint and get back to the mural, Rin's already wandered off. Oh well. Emmy and I both decide to part ways there, leaving the paint on the ground. Rin will find it whenever she comes back, anyway. Festival's tomorrow. I'm actually a little excited for it. At the same time, this week's left me feeling pretty tired, so I read a little and then go to bed. I have thoughts and feelings. I will elaborate on them as soon as everything has been confirmed. Arise! The next day I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping light is fine, since it's Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday, though, but the festival as well. From my window, I can see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low-quality food. I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There'll be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Finishing my morning run, I exit into the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji's up to today out of impulse. Why would you do that to yourself? I'm curious if he has any plans since everyone is doing something. Then again, I can picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with a no girls allowed sign. And with the girls crossed out and body crudely scrawled underneath it. You have a very vivid mental image. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign. I hear again the unsettling clicking of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens a crack. Who be it? You're supposed to ask that before you open the door. Oh, it's you. Damn, it's early. It's not really that early. What is it, man? Nothing. Was just gonna ask what you're gonna do today. Half the school is out there already. Out where? Why? What? What? Is today special? Where are they there? Who are? I can hear them. It's loud. Don't tell me. Has the invasion begun? He suddenly looks more alarmed. What day is it, man? Yeah, I guess you can't see the big wooden booths outside and people selling stuff. What the hell are you talking about? I have my curtains closed at all times to thwart the snipers. It's the festival. You know that, right? Oh, damn, that's today? Ah, damn. Damn it. Can't believe I forgot. I don't have my fort finished yet. This is bad. This is gonna be a very bad day. It's good you told me this, man. This is gonna be a bad day. Why? Oh, man, they're gonna be everywhere. The people outside my window, socializing. Kenji rubs his temples nervously, suddenly looking very ill. It's gonna be loud as hell. Damn it, I was gonna go out today, but now it's ruined. Everything is ruined. This is awful. This sucks. What the hell? This really sucks. I can't go anywhere now. There's nowhere to run. Kenji seems nervous. You could say he's even majorly freaking out. I can't believe this. So that's what today was. Damn, I couldn't even prepare for it. I couldn't even brace myself, and now it's here, and I can't do anything. Should have told. Oh, apparently that's a way to go back on the dialogue. You should have told me this earlier, dude. I mean, at least I know now, but I could have done so earlier. Imagine what I could have accomplished. Sorry, I thought you knew. So I guess you're not going to do anything today? The weather is even good. Yesterday was really windy, so I thought today would be cold. It's not. Though, so there's no reason to just stay inside. Yeah, you should check this festival out. Kenji groans and covers his face with his hands. Ah, no. Can't do it. They'll leave me alive out there, I know it. That has to be a joke, but he said it with such a straight face. Relatively straight, anyway. What are you gonna do? We should hang out in here. You can help me build my fort. We still might make it if we work together. I wonder. I'm kinda hungry, but I made this deal that I'd try to take better care of myself. Be healthier, you know. Don't know if I should steer clear of the takoyaki, or head straight in. Deal? Sounds ominous. So what are you getting in return? Nothing, I guess. It's not that kind of deal. You know, Emmy, from our year, we kinda agreed to watch each other's backs and... Aye! The shrill scream and the expression of abject terror in Kenji's face chill my blood. It's as if I told a Catholic priest I sold my soul to the devil. Her! You sold your soul to the devil and didn't get anything in return? Are you going to really imply that Emmy is the devil? What the hell is wrong with you, man? Do you know who you're dealing with? She's a public health danger. Do you know how many people she sends to the hospital monthly with her carefully placed flying tackles? I feel like not as much as you're implying. She's one of them, a key player in the vast conspiracy that aims for the complete submission of everything that is manly. This game was made a good few years ago, but man, I do not like having to read his words. Can't believe what I'm hearing. I trusted in your judgment, man. I thought we were brothers. You have to call it off before it's too late. This festival, too. It's just one of their ploys. He fingers his scarf nervously faster and faster, like he's trying to start a fire, then slowly begins to calm down once the panic attacks finish running its course. I'm gonna have to find some place to hide in, a safe haven, and then knock the lights out myself so that I don't have to experience this horrible day. I have the perfect thing for that. I must prepare now! Don't go to the festival. Okay. Later, dude. The door slowly closes with a low creak, and I am truly floored with the fact that I could have avoided all of this had I not knocked on the door, but I chose to anyway for reasons that the world will never properly understand. Okay then. It's kind of unsettling, and now I start to feel doubtful myself. Should I bother going? I've got a book I've been meaning to read. Something about underground postal system that may or may not exist. It's short too. I could have it finished in a day. Would that be a good way to spend my time? Well, yeah, it definitely would be, but I suppose that it would probably be a better idea to head outside, see the festival, try to integrate with all the other sideshow acts. Just keep saying stuff like this. What the hell, man? Honestly, I should at least make an attempt to keep up the somewhat friendly personality I've had the past week. Maybe get something to eat, my stomach suggests. It's almost lunchtime. I could at least grab something from one of the stalls outside. I'm soon outside, surrounded by various students and people who may or may not be their parents. Every so often, I catch a glimpse of someone who clearly just came up from town for the promise of a festival. They're easy to spot. It's the ones who can't stop staring, and behind their eyes, you can tell they're thinking, now what's wrong with this one? I almost want to yell at them. But at the same time, can I deny that I've been doing the same thing all week? Not really, no. You doing it a lot. I've been reading your internal thoughts this entire time. That's why I'm not being too overly critical, because, you know, internal thoughts be internal thoughts, but still, oof. A wave of something like disgust sweeps over me, guilt for my own narrow-mindedness. I push the thought aside, concentrating on the pangs of hunger that burned my guts like a wildfire. The sense of something fried leads me to the promised land where I can get some lunch. I'm just getting my order when a loud voice interrupts me. Hey, whoa, hello. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Having break? Lunch? Breakfast? You mean you just got up? Suddenly sleeping all morning feels like a crime. No, I meant lunch, honestly. She's not buying it. Brunch? That's not a healthy breakfast at all. She snatches my food out of my hand and glares at me. What the hell is this girl doing? That's my breakfast. What happened to it being your lunch? That's my... Whatever, it's my food. Emmy places her hands on her hips and begins lecturing me. Did you really forget your dietary plan already? You need to be more conscious of your health, Asao. What about your heart? My heart's fine the way it is. Mostly. All I get in response is a roll of the eyes and a click of the tongue. I doubt that. You wouldn't be here if that was the case, would you? Girl's got a point, of course. But I'm not about to concede it. It's not that bad of a heart. Certainly can handle a little grease now and again. Yeah, sure, it handled a little running just fine, too. Emmy seems unconvinced. Not surprising, as I haven't even managed to convince myself. Maybe, but not if you're sleeping all day, all the time. A devious look suddenly crosses her face. Of course, if you'd been following a routine from the beginning, you wouldn't be in this situation. Hey, I've been having a pretty eventful week, you know. Met you. That's pretty good. Also, I can't help but notice that I'm seeing a lot of her now that I've made that one choice. I feel like I'm down the path of Emmy. And I'm gonna be completely real with you. I'm okay with that. I really am. Assuming all of the... I mean, I don't dislike any of the gals I've come across up to this point, but if I am on the Emmy path, I'm more than happy to be on it. Quite frankly, she was already one of my two, highest contenders for the choice I would go with. For example, I almost died, and there was a lot of meeting people, and then I was on a roof for a while, which is no excuse for slacking off, you know. A little near-death experience is no excuse for skipping basic exercise. Like running in the mornings. She nods as if something important has just been decided. So it's settled then. You seen the error of your ways and are willing to adhere to my routine, right? I'll see you bright and early in the morning. We'll be running buddies. You know, you already convinced me yesterday that this was a good idea. You don't need to convince me again. Not that I did a good job of being convinced. She's right about eating healthy after all, and here I am ordering up something grossly unhealthy. But delicious. There are more important things than deliciousness, aren't there? Many would argue that there isn't, but I get where you're coming from. Like, staying alive. Some would say they wouldn't want to live a life where they weren't allowed to eat delicious things. If Emmy weren't here browbeating me for my poor decisions, I'd probably... Hey, wait a second. A sudden question springs to mind. Hey, why the hell have you taken such an interest in my well-being? Emmy shrugs and grins at me. You're the new guy. I figure you don't have any friends yet, right? I mean, I'm still not entirely sure about the whole Shizun and Misha thing. They also seem to kind of disappeared. Besides, I caused you trouble all week, right? You caused me trouble precisely twice. How are you for not getting angry? And I told the nurse I would anyway. Uh-huh. Crazy little running girl wants to make me healthy. Well, I suppose there are worse fates. Okay, that sounds fine. Thanks for your concern. Tomorrow morning, then? I figure that ends the conversation, so I turn to leave. Not so fast. I feel a hand on my collar, and in a second I've been yanked backwards. Hey, no need to be so rough. What do you want now? Emmy looks almost wounded by my annoyed question. Well, you could use the company. Her eyes narrow. Besides, you were just gonna try sneaking some more of that fried crap, weren't you? Well, I wasn't going to, but now that she mentions it, that would have been a really good idea. I was not. Another glare. Okay, maybe I was going to get a little. The glare continues. Okay, a lot. Jesus, I'm a danger to myself and others, aren't I? I get done agreeing that I need to be healthier, and then immediately start considering the next unhealthy habit that comes my way. Big mood! I knew it. You can't be trusted. Now I definitely have to stick with you. I'm down with having a friend, bare minimum. This whole situation feels quite silly. I can only imagine what passerby think of the sight of me being lectured by a tiny girl half my size. I've really got to look that up. Maybe I should give up for now. Fine, do what you like. Dude, there are so many worse fates in life than being, followed around by an anime girl. Just roll with it, man. Might as well make the best of this. What do you want to do? Emmy thinks for a minute. Well, I promised Rin I'd stop by her mural. So, let's do that. I confess I'm slightly curious as to how her mural turned out myself. So again, I consider there are worse fates. I give a nod of assent and find myself almost dragged bodily through the crowd as Emmy races to our destination. By the time we reach the dorms, I can feel my heart pounding. My heart shouldn't be pounding after just that. I take a few deep breaths, willing myself to calm down. I'm one of the most normal-looking people in the school, but I still have to be here. Sometimes I almost wish I'd lost a hand or something. At least then it'd be obvious that I belong. But instead, I don't even look sick. Even now, trying to catch my breath, I just look out of shape. Emmy looks back and notices my state of distress. You're not gonna die on me, are you? Please don't. It'll be all my fault, and I don't want to deal with that kind of guilt. Fair. Besides, after the last time, I really don't think I need to see that again. Especially because the nurse will totally say it's all my fault. Nah, I'm fine. Guess I need to start running after all. And you wanted to keep eating your greasy whatever it was. See, it's a good thing I found you, right? Yes, it was. Maybe. You said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet again. Of course, I don't add that I wouldn't be in this state if she hadn't dragged me across the festival grounds. Further conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of Rin as she emerges from the bushes. Oh, it's you. Hello, Emmy. Hey, Rin. I brought Hisao along because he was going to give himself a heart attack. I was not. My objection goes unnoticed. We stopped to see how the mural turned out. Rin nods slowly. It's kind of her thing. Well, it's right there. You can see it pretty clearly. I find myself wondering how long Rin's been standing here in front of the mural. Has anyone even stopped by to look at it? Are we the first ones? Obviously, we're not the first to see it, of course. I mean, it's pretty big. You'd be hard-pressed not to see it. At the same time, I don't think anyone actually talked to Rin about it. Anyone but us, that is. I feel compelled to say something. Looks pretty good. I'm still not happy with how it turned out, but I guess it'll do. She seems almost resigned to it. I'm not sure what she expected as a result, but I guess she didn't quite get there. That's a standard artist thing. Don't worry about it. We stand in front of the mural, taking it all in. I try my best to concentrate on the composition of the thing. It's actually fairly interesting. The colors swoop and blend together, dragging me along with them. There's a dreamlike quality to the whole thing that makes me almost feel sleepy. I try hunting out some of the colors Emmy and I grab for her. Try as I might, I can't see any Peruvian blue. Ah, well. I'm sure it's in there somewhere. My feet start to hurt, but Rin doesn't seem inclined to move on. Emmy speaks up. Hey, Rin, have you eaten? Of course. You can't survive otherwise. What about in the past 5 hours? Maybe, but I'm hungry again, so that means I'm wrong. Emmy grins and claps her hands together. Good, come on, get some food with us. Rin nods in assent. Okay, but we should hurry before they notice I'm gone. Somehow I don't think they'd care. Whoever they are. Oofenheimer. As we head back to the food stalls, I cast a longing eye over the fried food. No, I'd better not. I'm pretty sure Emmy wouldn't let me anyway. We find a nice spot on the grass and sit down to eat our purchases. It's a diced time, to say the least. Well, my purchases anyway. Somehow I wound up paying for all the food. Surprisingly, my unfried food is pretty good. Silence falls as Emmy and I eat. Rin stares at something or other, occasionally eating a bite or two of her food. I finish my meal first and lay back on the grass. Emmy glances up from her food. Tired, Sal? A little, I guess. Well, don't oversleep or anything tomorrow morning. We start our morning runs, remember? Actually, that had slipped my mind. I was actually just enjoying myself. Wandering around the festival with these two has actually been fun. Yeah, I'll set an alarm. You'd better be there. I'll get angry if you aren't. God forbid. I don't think God comes into it. Hell hath no fury like an Emmy. Unless there's some kind of a freak accident or an alarm clock shorts out. That might be a random act of God. Well, don't, because any random acts of God then. A plan forms itself in my mind. It's a plan that makes me feel kind of guilty, but I throw it into execution anyway. Damn it, I've earned a little fried food. Anyway, I'm gonna start running tomorrow, right? So the actual routine all starts then, not now. Ergo, the dietary portion starts tomorrow too. Ergo, I can have something unhealthy today. A sort of final farewell to all the stuff I used to eat with Wild Abandon before the hospital. Actually, I suppose I should head back to my room. I had some homework to do, and if I'm gonna run in the morning, I should make it an early night. Those narrowed eyes again. You sure you're not just going to sneak off and bite some of that fried stuff over there? Nah, I'm too full to bother now. I pat my stomach for emphasis. Besides, you two have cleaned me out anyway. Emmy giggles. It's a surprisingly pleasant sound. Another pang of guilt. She's got to know that I'm lying to her, doesn't she? Or is she just that trusting? I feel kind of like a monster. All part of my master plan is how. Well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning then. Thanks for the food, and for keeping us company. And here I thought she was doing me a favor. Rin nods in agreement. I won't say see you tomorrow, because that would be like predicting the future, and I'm pretty sure I can't do that. Okay. Bye, you two. I feel oddly glad that I decided to leave my room today. Not a bad way to start my second week here, I suppose. I feel like, if I didn't have that moment, maybe I would be with Misha and Shizune at this point. Then I would wonder, is it possible to be with the Lily? I feel like they're all in little subcategories, so like Lily and Hanako. I have absolutely no idea how you would end up spending time with them. Huh. Once I'm sure I'm out of Emmy's line of sight, I make a beeline for the food stands and buy some cake. At least it's not fried, right? That's slightly better than what I was planning to do. I still feel a little bad about lying to Emmy, though. She really does seem concerned about my health. I'll make it up to her somehow. Better head back to my room. Yeah, I do have work to do. My book waits for me, and I flop onto my bed and read through the fireworks display. Eventually, all the walking around, or more accurately, running around, catches up with me. I really am out of shape. Emmy dragging me out in the morning to run might just be a good thing after all. It's something to look forward to. Aw, that's actually really cute. Also, yeah. Okay, well, first of all, no, she is not half your size. God, this is diabetes inducing. This is, okay, and that's a butt. Very cute. Okay, but don't stare. Oh, it just keeps going. Ah! Cute!